how is Crawford going to be able to bridge this weight gap?
Yeah, I don't think he can, in all honesty. I mean, he might not be able to bridge it on Saturday.
Yeah.
So
one weight class.
68, yeah, but you're coming up from 35, 35, 40, 47, 54. Sooner or later, it's one too many. And 68 is definitely too many. But Crawford's brilliant. Like, he's a genius. He's a generational great. So maybe he can find a way to do it. But I feel he'd be hugely outsized against Canelo.
What do you think of Crawford Canelo? There's a lot of talk about that.
I think Canelo wipes the floor with him. I love Crawford. I told you when Crawford and Spence that Crawford would beat the hell out of him. But Canelo is a different proposition. It's an interesting fight. But I think there's
ways he could defy the odds because he's a generational great. But if I had to kind of put my money on it, I'd put my money on Canelo Alvarez to win via a stoppage.
All right. Well, man,
The massive showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford is just 8 weeks out. But plenty of boxing voices are already warning that Crawford could be in deep trouble. Despite the added weight and swagger, most still think Canelo holds the advantage and plans to break the American down in September. Hamzah Shiraz didn't sugarcoat it. He's confidently predicting a Canelo stoppage on September 13th. TH in Las Vegas. He says weight divisions matter, and jumping two of them will destroy Crawford's frame.
He should win by size, but for you, how does that fight play out?
I think Canelo does win by knockout. I think he does win by knockout. And that's only because of the weight. You can't jump up from 54 to 68 fighting the best, even though you're the best yourself. It's too much of a weight jump, man. But listen, you never know. You can't write off Crawford, but I think Canelo will knock.
He connected with the sharper, stronger shots in every round. Crawford let his hands go for 133 punches to Madria's 275, but only landed 11 more. Mentally, Terence was shaken. People forget Canelo's a big guy. He's got real power. Shiraz explained. He uses his strength smartly, but still at this elite level you can't count someone like Crawford out. His skill set is elite. Jumping up to divisions is wild, sure, but Crawford's so gifted he just might pull it off.
That's 1 or 2 months. Obviously, in this fight is potentially even more relevant to you because of the weight class. The Canelo Crawford fight. How do you see that fight potentially going? Is that something you, in the corner of your mind, maybe like, down the road?
I see my kind of perspective on that fight is, I feel like number one, there's a weight class for reasons, and I feel like if we're basing it off their last performances.
But if you force me to pick, I go with Canelo by stoppage. Shiraz admitted. It won't be simple for Canelo to finish Crawford, since Bud is likely to stay mobile all 12 rounds. Maybe copying William School's survival strategy against the Mexican icon. The fight could get ugly, but Crawford might still leave with a moral victory. Eddie Hearn didn't just question Crawford's size, he also criticized his resume, claiming Bud lacks a truly marquee name on his record.
Canelo had the better performance, I believe, even though he had a negative fight in front of him. And I feel like Crawford struggled a little bit with Madrimov's physicality. It was very physical, and I feel like he struggled a little bit with it. And then you got to remember, Canelo's a big dude. He's a big dude, he's strong, he knows how to use his size. But then at the same time, at that level, you can't write off fighters like Crawford because he's so skillful. So him going up 2 weights, he could defy the odds.
If you're Terence Crawford, you've got to use angles and movement all night. The worst strategy would be standing and exchanging. He should stay light on his feet constantly. I'm not calling it running, but he'll definitely stay moving. That's how you beat someone like Canelo. You know what Bud's problem is, and I told him this mid-flight. He never got to build a legendary resume because the big names weren't available. I joked, your best win. He said Ricky Burns. That's what he gave me, Hearn added. Burns is my guy, a multi-division champ. But I said, sure, Ricky's legit, but he's no all-time legend. That's your highlight, ultimately. Hearn admitted Bud might beat the best, but never had the opportunity. As for picking Canelo versus Crawford, Hearn said, I saw the Skull fight, it was Skull, but Crawford looks fresher. I usually back Canelo, but wouldn't be surprised at all if Bud takes this.
But you have to use your movement. if you're Terence Crawford in that fight. The last thing you want to do is stand and trade. He'd be moving a lot in that fight, trust me. I'm not saying he'd be running, but he would be moving a lot. Of course, that's the way to beat him.
Yeah.
You know.
Even though Alvarez remains the undisputed champ at middleweight, his sluggish performance against William Skolin may spark concerns he's in decline. But Reynoso's not buying it. He's fully certain Canelo will knock Crawford out cold. Speaking with Elisek Bakavis, Reynoso didn't mince words. A KO is guaranteed. We're winning by knockout, he said firmly. Asked about the round, Reynoso stayed vague. Whatever round it is, we're finishing him. While acknowledging Crawford's skill, Reynoso said, Crawford's excellent, but Canelo's different that night.
I go back and forwards, to be honest with you. Like, when I talk to Bud, kind of like he convinces me that he's going to win the fight because he's such a believer in his own ability and he's very convincing. And then you see the presser yesterday and I thought Canelo looked really well. Do you know what I mean? Obviously he's a big lump, so I was always Canelo, then I sort of leant towards Bud, but now I'm back with Canelo, so we'll see.
With that, Reynoso dismissed all the noise about Canelo's lackluster showing against Skull, where he got ripped for his shockingly low output. Even Canelo called it dull. He only threw 152 punches to Skull's 293. But thinking ahead to Crawford, Canelo vowed, I hope September's fight is something else entirely. Reynoso may be full of belief, but others think Crawford's got a legitimate shot. Former coach Jeff Mayweather believes Bud's best move is to keep distance and avoid engaging in a war with Canelo.
First of all, Eddie, happy birthday to your dad. Was his birthday this week? Now, big fight September. Canelo Alvarez, the face of boxing against Crawford. What's your prediction?
Lo vamos a ganar por nocaut.
What round?
En el que sea, pero lo vamos a noquear esta vez.
Trainer Derek Bozy Ennis echoed those thoughts, saying Crawford can frustrate Canelo and dictate the pace, potentially scoring a massive upset. Picking a winner is tough, but if the fight meets expectations, fans are in for a treat. British great Carl Froch has a different read on this matchup, which he gave in a June 17th Foot Italia interview. It's a top-tier fight. Crawford's bigger than most people assume. Size is a factor here, and I think he's already grown out of his past weight class. He'll bulk, feel strong, and belong in that ring. His skill set is unreal. I'd actually favor Crawford.
What round did he say?
Whatever round, but they're gonna win by knockout.
Crawford's a good fighter, a great fighter, but Canelo, the best.
Es un tremendo peleador. Crawford es un gran boxeador, muy completo, pero ese día van a ver otro Canelo. He's a great fighter. Crawford's a great fighter, but that day he's facing Canelo.
That is true. Thank you, Eddie. Congratulations on the big win. Undisputed again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, all. We're here with
Canelo's past his prime, no question. He looked slow and flat last time out. He doesn't get hyped for guys who move around and don't fight back. Why take damage if he's already leading on the cards? He's just coasting. Froch later said, Canelo's finished. Over 60 fights, tons of money, what's left? But this one's different. It's a super fight with Crawford, and it could backfire. He could absolutely lose. No matter who gets beat, it'll feel like a shock. Because so many fans think Bud's winning. And Bud, he's a beast. A real warrior with unshakable focus.
He has passed his best. He's had over 60 fights. Made a fortune. Why is he even still fighting? But this is a super fight against Crawford. Yeah. It could go wrong for him. He could end up losing. Whoever loses, it'll be an upset because the amount of people that think Crawford's going to win. Crawford's certainly an unbelievable bad boy fighter, proper good fighter. Then you've got Canelo who just understands the game.
Then there's Canelo. He knows the sport inside and out. He's been in with everybody. Bellew pointed out. But regarding Canelo versus Crawford, Bellew didn't hesitate on his pick. Canelo wants it his way, his pace, his flow. Crawford won't. Let him, he said. I think Crawford's going to outwork him, land the sharper stuff, and win on points. He continued, I get why Canelo's favored, but nothing lasts forever. And if I'm wrong and Canelo becomes the first guy to beat Bud, he'll have earned every bit of that respect. No one's figured Bud out yet.
Super middleweight. How do you think me, prime Carl Froch, prime Canelo?
I don't know. I don't know. We need to see.
No, we don't need to see. What do you think?
Wait, we will. No, I think could be a good fight. Yeah.
12 rounds.
Yeah, 12
points.
Rounds, yeah.
Split decision.
Maybe. Yeah. We don't know.
We're
never gonna know, but
we'll never know.
We can say it will be a good fight.
Years ago, Bob Arum would have laughed if you said Crawford could beat Canelo. He promoted Bud back then. Even at that time, he doubted Bud could beat someone as vicious as Canelo. who steamrolled his way to undisputed at 168. I think Crawford wins it wide, Arum told the Ring. Could be a knockout or a clean decision, probably a decision, since Canelo will shell up. People ignore how far Canelo has regressed. It's not just skull he's been fading, even with some friendly judging since Mayweather beat him. Canelo's still a 4-division champ, ranked 5 spots below Bud.
Canelo likes to wait. It has to be all at Canelo's rate and pace. Right. He's not going to get that way with Terence Crawford. I just think Terence Crawford will outwork him, will pot shot him, and I think he'll win on points. And by the way, if I'm wrong and Canelo does defeat Terence Crawford as the first man to beat him, he deserves so much credit.
Crawford's been facing top-tier killers, and he's got the skill set to beat Canelo. Arum highlighted Crawford's secret weapon, total ambidexterity. Canelo will prepare for an orthodox, but Bud could suddenly flip to Southpaw, and Canelo won't be ready. Canelo has always had issues with Southpaws, just remember Trout and Lara. Arum admitted he once thought Crawford was reaching too far, but this isn't the same Canelo. And it's definitely not the same Bud. Crawford today is a complete, evolved, and extremely dangerous fighter.
There's only one winner. What fight would make the most?
He wipes the floor with him?
What?
Is it because of the weight difference?
Because Canelo, Canelo is used to fighting at a particular level, and and I don't think that Terence can hurt Canelo, but Canelo can hurt.
Even though early odds had Crawford as a slight underdog, Hearn's backing the smaller guy to dethrone boxing's biggest attraction. He blames Canelo's recent dip and aging body. Watching him against Skoliv, I seriously thought it could be his last bout, Hearn said. He didn't seem like he wanted to be in there. Canelo didn't love that comment, but Hearn was blunt. You didn't look motivated. Maybe Skol made it boring by running, but that night raised doubts. One thing's for sure, Crawford's confidence is unmatched. He really believes he'll win.
Yeah. And just lastly, Bob, I believe you talked about it in some other interviews, but I just wanted to get Canelo Crawford. What are your thoughts on that fight? Who do you think wins?
I like Crawford in that fight.
Why is that?
I think Crawford is the better talent. I think he's a better athlete and a better boxer. And I just think he's going to win that fight. But it's a terrific fight.
Did something change your mind along?
And anyone with real footwork causes trouble for Canelo at this stage. When the fight was first announced, Hearn favored Canelo due to his size, but now he calls it a dead-even battle. In fact, he's slightly favoring Crawford. Still, Hearn says there's an even bigger showdown than Canelo versus Crawford. Crawford versus Jaron Boots Ennis. Boots is quickly rising, moving up to 154, and will soon hit 160. That matchup, Hearn says, would be absolutely insane if it ever comes together.
Is there a big UFC event or I don't know?
UFC event
In Vegas, yeah.
And then football Sunday.
Football, yeah. So, but for me, I think championship boxing should be on a Saturday night. Always.
Yeah. Eddie, June 14th, you're back at the Garden.
Yes.
Cambodia.
Great
What
fight.
expect on that card? What you lining up for?
So we're going to announce the card this week. There's a huge fight for Andy Cruz on the card, and he's going to be a big statement to put him into a position to fight for the world title. Tito Mercado.
Speaking to reporters, Hearn confirmed Boots truly wants a piece of Crawford. That's the fight Boots is aiming for, he said. And honestly, that's just crazy good. Yes, Canelo versus Crawford is huge, but Boots versus Crawford, that's on another level. Still, will it happen? Hearn has doubts. Crawford's what now, 37, 38, win or lose. I think he's calling it after the Canelo fight, Hearn said. We'll have to wait and see.
On the card there as well, unbeaten 140-pounder. One of our big heavyweights as well, Alexis Barrier from Canada, Zaquin Moses, Nishant, loads and loads to Pablo as well, King of New York. Tickets are going really well. It's a great fight. By the way, Hitchens is another guy. You know, I know he doesn't have the same profile as Boots and Shakur yet, but he's another brilliant, young, undefeated American fighter. And Kambosos is bringing a lot of energy to that fight, so June 14th will be a big night.
If Hitchens is victorious, they'll be...
Canelo and Crawford didn't lay a hand on each other during Friday's face-off at T-Mobile Arena. But last time, in New York, Canelo gave him a shove. The 168-pound champ claimed he only reacted because Crawford rushed him, and people had to step in. Canelo also accused Turki Al Shikriyad, season's head, of telling Crawford to stir up drama. just to build hype for the second of 3 scheduled pressers in a tight 8-day window.
More unification still in the
I think
air?
so, yeah. I mean, obviously we have to see if Fuchs fights Teofimo. But, you know, I think he's in a great position.
Is that really getting into some serious?
Yeah.
Some Teofimo? Is that
Yeah.
seriously in talks?
Yeah. I think if Fuchs stays at 147, I think he'll fight.
He tried to walk into me, and I just responded. Canelo explained on stage. That's all there was to it. You know me, I always try to stay respectful. But then he threw shade. I don't even think it was his idea. I think Turkey told him, make a scene, and he listened. Canelo laughed at that. He always claims, nobody controls me, but he still went along. I respect everyone, but if you cross me, I handle it differently.
The last fighters that you fought, they ain't on my level. And
I fought everybody.
The last fighters you fought since
Everybody.
2002.
Mention me one. You
Since
mention me
2002.
one elite fighter. Just one.
You.
Oh, me.
No.
It's gonna be me.
I don't
And
care
you
about
win.
nobody else.
Crawford, visibly irritated, fired back. Turkey didn't say a word to me. He insisted. I never touch him. He explained someone in that room was talking reckless, saying I was scared. So I stepped forward and made it clear who's in charge. I ain't afraid of nobody.
And you will see that.
You. So when I beat you, is you gonna be a nobody? When I stump a mud hole in your ass, is you gonna be a nobody? Same everybody else been saying since I moved to 147, I ain't fought nobody. Every last one of them stump a mud hole in their ass and he gonna be next. Watch.
Canelo interrupted and pointed out Crawford's uncle as the one who claimed Bud was scared of the man. He's about to face at Allegiant Stadium for all the belts. Crawford stood firm. I ain't scared of you, and you're about to see that firsthand. He continued, you saw that last presser, I stepped right up, and you're supposed to be the bigger dude. And that's all for now. For exclusive coverage and hot takes in boxing, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Huge stories ahead.
I respect everybody, but if you fuck with me, so it's gonna be different.
Terence, is that true? Did Turkey Sheikh ask you to spice things up?
Turkey didn't ask me to do nothing. I didn't touch him.
You know.
Listen.
Hey, we know, buddy.
First and foremost, somebody was in a room.